the public unrest led to the closure of the banks. And then the central bank froze the bank accounts of the people, all the 4 million Lebanese back then.
Right.
So whatever you had saved all your life, you couldn't access it. So that created less trust in the currency. And that was like a snowball effect. The currency free falling for different other reasons. Nevertheless, the geopolitical situation of Lebanon, etc.
Welcome, Sooly.
Thank you.
Is your surname a real name? And can you pronounce it for me?
Kobayashi?
Yeah.
It's a real name.
Yeah. It's a real name.
It's a real name, yeah.
Okay. And Sooly's a real name as well.
Sooly is a real name.
Okay. Just checking I'm speaking to the right Sooly Kobayashi.
Yeah, but those are not my real names.
Okay, yeah. Would you like to tell everyone listening what your real names are?
Of course, Sooly Kobayashi.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been known as Sooly Kobayashi on social media forever.
Okay.
My teachers in school used to call me Sooly.
Really? Oh, so this is a NIM that predates Bitcoin?
Yeah.
I thought you created this NIM for Bitcoin.
No.
Okay.
No, I was like, makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's great. The NIM before Bitcoin. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Nemo from Ethiopia tells me 3 days ago, oh, by the way, you need to meet Mohammed from Lebanon. I was like, sorry? He was like, Mohammed from Lebanon, a miner in Ethiopia. And believe me, like, the Lebanese are very few, at least the Bitcoiners. Mm-hmm. And I just met him yesterday. Great guy with a great story for a podcast as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he's Lebanese from Lebanon, but living in Ethiopia.
He's actually Italian.
Of course.
Yeah. He moved to mine in Ethiopia. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So he's one of the guys that's helping Ethiopia get 3% of the hash rate, is it?
Mm-hmm. So basically, last year, they thought they're going to reach 600 megawatts. Mm-hmm. And from February to, I think, November, they reached that threshold of 600 megawatts already. So no one can say really how much is left because it's over.
Whoa.
It's huge.
Okay.
So,
and so for the sake of people listening, who are you? Sooly Kobayashi. I can't say the name.
Kobayashi. Is enough.
Yeah.
Sooly from Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
A pleb. Helping other plebs.
Mm-hmm.
Started by learning, then teaching, and then I noticed people that were taking my advices, making some money out of it. I was like, okay, great. Let me try do something with it. And I started helping businesses getting onboarded on Bitcoin. And then I started helping Bitcoin companies start and penetrate the Middle East and Africa.
Okay.
Just because the region is full of shitcoining, casinos, etc.
And you're trying to right that wrong. You're trying to help more people understand Bitcoin on the continent, or in Middle East as well. Do you mean Middle East and Africa?
Yeah, MIA, Middle East and Africa.
Okay.
MEA, yeah.
Yeah. Where's your specialist area or specialist region within Africa?
Africa, I would say Southwest Africa, because some countries have banned Bitcoin.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's on the client's responsibility. I mean, I teach Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then it's on them to do it. Regardless, the liability is not on me. So.
Okay, nice. So Bitcoin consultancy, advisory, this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can speak to that personally, right? Because we had quite a nice moment on one of the nights after the Afro Bitcoin conference, which was, by the way, amazing. And I want to shill it with this bottle. Because you came up to me last year in Ghana. And I didn't actually remember this conversation, which was quite funny because I was a bit drunk at the time. And it was when I was trying to go independent, and I was saying I'm going to do it, Sooly. I'm going to go independent next year. I'm going to quit Cointelegraph. I'm going to start my own thing. It's going to be Joe Nakamoto, all this sort of stuff. And you're like, well, you better do it. Go and do it.
Do it today before tomorrow.
There you go. And yeah, which is today. And just checking people are listening as well. And I did it. And yeah, you came up to me on that night a few days ago and said, I'm proud of you, man. You did what you said you were going to do. And I was like, what did I say I was going to do? But then I reflected on it. I was like, no, it's cool. And then so now you're saying I need to assemble a team. I need to, get on with that and try to make this thing, introduce more people to Bitcoin and orange pill others. I mean, I had a few people come up to me at the conference this week and they said, hey, Joe, I bought a camera. And I was like, cool. Why are you telling me this? So because your content. And I was like, oh, sick, wicked, man. And they had the same camera as me and everything. And they're now doing Bitcoin content in their local languages, wherever they are. And
that's fantastic.
yes, like this is what I want more, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. So have you had similar things with your advisory and with your...
Yeah, I've lately, from Lebanon and from African countries, I don't want to jinx it for them, they started asking about like, how can someone start Bitcoin consulting, advisory, etc.
Okay.
So yeah, it's there are others who would be doing the same. They should be doing the same if they have what it takes. You don't have to be a specialist in everything. You can't be anyway, but at least try to connect with people, offer what you know best, and build on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So for the sake of this podcast today, I wanted to talk about your work in Africa, Lebanon, and then any other random tangential stuff that we go into. You can be more of a specialist in these areas, particularly when it comes to Bitcoin, right? But the first thing I wanted to do was to give you back these shit coins, which are from Ghana, because Sooly technically rug pulled me last year. He was actually being really helpful at the time. But there's a story behind this, right? So, and I think it's relevant to why Bitcoin is so important. These are Ghanaian cedis, and that's, I forget what they call it. It's like a closed currency or a dead currency. You can't use that currency outside of the country. And so even when you get to the airport and you try to exchange it, there's no more money exchanges at that point. You've got to sort of get rid of it by then. And you on one night, we did a peer-to-peer trade where I gave you some Bitcoin and you gave me, I think it was like maybe $100 or $200 worth of cedis. And I've had them for literally more than a year now. And I've been trying to exchange them with Ghanaians, with people around the world, with foreign exchange offices. They're accepted nowhere. So this paper is literally paper the second you leave Ghana. And when you're in Accra or other parts of Ghana, it's money again. And I just thought it was amazing that I've still got them 1 year later. And I thought, right, I'm going to have to give these to you at the start of the podcast.
Thank you for keeping... but listen, first, I told you this was a donation for the efforts of the media you've been doing. Yeah. So it's yours. I've been using... the Lebanese pounds as bookmarks.
Bookmarks?
Yeah.
How much is a Lebanese pound worth? Is it £1 or like 20 or 50?
No, so, okay, now it devalued 200% of its value since 2019 alone.
Right.
So it's 1,000 Lebanese lira doesn't get you anything. Like we used to take 1,000 Lebanese liras to school to buy like a kind of manouche, which is like a Lebanese pastry with a tiny juice.
Nice.
Now it doesn't buy you anything. Like to buy that, you need like maybe 90,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do people use the Lebanese currency then, or are they
in
just
Lebanon? Yeah. So all the prices are dollarized. Let's use it as a bookmark. It's better.
Yeah.
It's a better value and function and utility.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on a wall, collect all these useless fiat currencies, and yeah. But you're saying, so now using currency as bookmark.
Yeah.
Because they're just so worthless.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it devaluing so quickly?
So there are different reasons. In modern news, in October 2019, the Lebanese discovered that there was a ponzi scheme by the central bank trying to peg the Lebanese pounds to the dollar. And they did that just after the Civil War, which is 1990 up until 2019.
Okay.
So, yeah, there was so much corruption that the credit levels of... So Lebanon defaulted on paying the Euro bonds back then. It was, I think, in September. And then in October, one minister went on television trying to tax the use of WhatsApp, like $6 per user on national TV. And people went like, I don't know what happened, but like everyone went on the streets, like everyone from all political parties, etc. And then that led to public unrest. The public unrest led to the closure of the banks. And then the central bank froze the bank accounts of the people. All the 4 million Lebanese back then.
Right.
So whatever you had saved all your life, you couldn't access it. So that created less trust in the currency. And that was like a snowball effect. The currency free falling for different other reasons. Nevertheless, the geopolitical situation of Lebanon, etc.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that the world now is knowing about what happened since 2019. But if you go to 1975, between 75 and 81, each dollar was equivalent to about 2 to 3 Lebanese liras.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Today, $1 is equivalent to 90,000 Lebanese liras.
Wow.
Imagine, like 40 years back.
Damn, it's like the Bitcoin to Bitcoin cash chart.
Yeah, exactly.
Crap. Okay.
So yeah, the prices are dollarized. So restaurants, they price everything in dollars. Most of the people hold dollars because like you need like a suitcase to pay your bill at the end of the day if you want to pay in Lebanese pounds, just like Argentina and Venezuela. And
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. So
you should go once the situation settles down.
well, but I mean, the war has ended.
No.
With is Israel still? I don't really understand what's going on. So Israel sending rockets into Lebanon. Lebanon is retaliating.
No.
Lebanon's just
not
being,
since the ceasefire. So there was a ceasefire.
Okay.
Israel is still shelling.
Yeah.
And people returning to their houses, to the border villages, are no longer able to come back. Like even Israel released a map, a zone, a buffer zone, not allowing anyone to come back in Lebanon. My mom yesterday couldn't sleep at night because she's in the capital. She's way far from all the shelling, etc.
Right.
But there was a drone above the center all night, a low altitude, etc.
Terrifying.
Yeah, there's a lot we can speak about that. Just like for the past 10 years, there was 35,000 Israeli air breaches and maritime breaches to Lebanon daily. So imagine, even if they weren't bombarding, they were surveilling the country daily for hours and hours, never end. So
it's this posturing sort of
so
thing.
sovereignty-wise, and this is for me, like when it comes to Bitcoin and freedom and private property, it's insane what's happening.
No, it's just sad to read about it. I mean, it always feels like there's always trouble in the Middle East, right? But then it just feels like the trouble is getting more and more evil. And, you know, when you hear about the idea of a drone circling, that just sounds like the most dystopian nightmare sort of thing.
They do it on purpose.
Yeah. No, it's intimidating.
I can maybe, if you want to take a break later on, like I have some voice notes, just like the sound of the drones. They couldn't sleep at night, so you can listen to it.
That's a torture technique.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like insomnia and
exactly.
Ugh. But there's a presidential election, no, in January for Lebanon. Is that right?
Yeah.
Does that change stuff in Lebanon? Like, what's the okay? Is it just?
But no, but like for us, like for more stable Lebanon, you need more sane neighbors.
It's laughable. Like,
unfortunately, yeah.
Well, okay. And yet, I mean, there are so many use cases jumping out immediately for Bitcoin in Lebanon, right? But then the one thing that I find amazing about Lebanese culture is just how rich it is. You know, we've spoken about this before, that when I was in the Ivory Coast, I had my Lebanese mates, I had my Ivorian mates, and the Lebanese guys had lived in the Ivory Coast for 2 generations, but they were Lebanese. They weren't Ivorian. They might have Ivory Coast passports, but they were Lebanese. And it's one of the countries which has the biggest diaspora, or maybe the biggest multiplier of the diaspora living outside of the country than inside the country. And with that comes remittance, right? So do you send money? Do you send money home?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And you're using, HSBC?
Of course.
And if someone's asking, yes, I'm using HSBC. But surely there's a massive use case there for Bitcoin. Is that the sort of thing that's talked about in your circles?
Stable coins are used much more.
Okay.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tether specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Lack of education.
Okay. Yeah.
Plus, like the Lebanese population today has been barely surviving, trying to make it daily. Because like the devaluation to a certain point was like every few hours. Okay. Restaurants couldn't price their menus. They wouldn't put any prices on the menus because you might arrive at the time where the prices might be different by the time you leave. So for them, stable coins are like made more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why.
And you say most, or if not all, the people in the Lebanese Bitcoin community.
I mean, yeah.
How big is it? Like how big are we talking?
So Bitcoin du Liban, bitcoinduliban.org,
yeah,
is a website founded by Marco, the founder of the community, who orange pilled me the first time.
Is he the escape room guy? Is he the guy?
No, that's
Okay.
Fadi.
Okay, yeah.
Great guy as well. I remember, yeah. This is how we spoke the first time.
Yeah. It's all coming back to you.
Yeah. No, so, and then he started a Telegram channel, purely education about Bitcoin. Bitcoin only education, not even price speculation, blah, blah, blah. And today I think we have about, my phone is on the charger, about 2,000 plus members.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, thing is, with everything happening before the war, there was the last cycle, like it's the case also, I think, with your viewers and the social media. People talk more, interact more with the price going up.
Yeah.
But even now with the war, we had you can just join the channel and see people people are just still interacting. But the nice thing about the level of inquiries and the discussion about Bitcoin within the channel has been evolving a lot. People are more knowledgeable. Last summer, we organized a meetup, and we met people who never spoken on that channel. And we had lawyers, doctors, students, interesting people really from different backgrounds. And then out of the blue, you see Saifuddin coming with a huge suitcase full of his books, donating it for free.
Oh, donating it. I thought he was about to say selling it. I was like,
no. Yeah. So yeah, it's a community. It's a good community. But I think Lebanon today is not only Lebanon, all the any place where you're busy focusing on how to survive every day. It's difficult. I'm talking about the developing world, obviously. It's difficult to find time for intellectual curiosity. However, I always believe that you would only learn something through pain, much more than curiosity. So people will have to go through, unfortunately, much more pain to understand what Bitcoin is, etc.
Okay.
And in this part of the world as well, at least.
Yeah.
Because in the West, if the West bans Bitcoin, nothing changes for the Westerners other than the number go up thing. Unfortunately, it's a fact.
Yeah.
But here, you've been coming to Africa and you see the amount of development happening. People talk about it. It's not only talking about it, but really trying to find ways to make the system better as a medium of exchange.
Yeah, no, it's more of a money here. If you feel it, you see it, and
it's more Bitcoin here.
It's more Bitcoin. Yeah, it is. I know that's going to trigger some people because the whole thing of hodling is saving, Bitcoin hodling is using, etc. But it's solving a real world use case here because cash isn't the best medium of exchange. It's of course very private, but as we've just discussed, it also kind of sucks. It's a bookmark. Cash is a bookmark, and here you can leapfrog that and go to Bitcoin. What were you going to say?
Nothing.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's something I wanted to pick up on there. And I've forgotten it, but this is the fourth podcast of the day, so my brain is slightly mushy. Can you elaborate a little more on the central bank or Lebanon being a Ponzi scheme, basically? You openly called it a Ponzi scheme. Presumably that means that people are more primed to understand Bitcoin.
Okay. So shitcoiner Macron, the French president, called it a Ponzi scheme.
The Lebanese
central bank, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I thought France and Lebanon were best mates. Aren't they supposed to be in cahoots? No?
Whenever they want.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a historic partnership between them. No? Okay.
They colonized us. So
if you call that a partnership, then sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So where do I start? The central bank governor, the former one, who changed, I think, last year, was a former Wall Street guy.
Yep.
Who rang the bell in Wall Street a couple of times. And in 1990, 1991, there was an agreement in Saudi Arabia that all the warlords will stop fighting, remove their uniforms, and put their tuxedos on to rule the country.
Okay.
Those same gentlemen are still ruling the country since 1975. So in 1990, when the war ended, the deal was like, okay, no more fighting, etc. And they decided, of course, you can't peg any fiat currency to the US dollar without the blessing of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they pegged it to $1 equivalent to 1,500 Lebanese lira. They did that for 30 years. Knowing that Lebanon is a net importer, so if you go the three economic sectors, agriculture, we're not self-sufficient.
It's a small country as well, right?
Industry, there's nothing. We don't have raw materials, etc.
Okay.
And when it comes to services, which is the main productive sector in Lebanon, hospitality was the main revenue to the country. But for hospitality, you need a stable country to have good tourism, which was really bad. So they focus on the banking service.
Okay.
They gave you ridiculously high interest rates if you would save in local currency. And in 1990, they came up with something called the banking secrecy. So it was the only country other than Switzerland that would keep your personal data secret, even if you had some issues with courts, etc. Talking about Bitcoin being a money laundry ramp, right?
So just to break that down, so that means that if you wanted to park some money somewhere, which was dirty money, I don't know, it was...
Or any money.
Any money, yeah, true. It doesn't necessarily have to be dirty. Then even if a government comes knocking and says, hey, I think, Joe has done something bad and that's where he's stored the money he's paid, then they wouldn't have to give up that information and they could just keep it secret.
Exactly. So that brought billions and billions of dollars in foreign currency and reserves to the central bank. And yeah, the central bank governor was a genius scammer. Seriously, like imagine for 30 years to be able to do things around, and it was crazy. Anyway, so people woke up with no access to their bank accounts. And that's been till today unsolved.
Okay. See, it reminds me a lot of Cyprus. How long have you been into Bitcoin now? Is it 2017 you started? Okay, yeah, because a lot of people got orange pilled by the Cyprus run of the banks.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean, for me, it's not, the question is not when did you enter in Bitcoin? It's like, when did you start understanding Bitcoin?
Right. Well, okay. Well, let's ask that. When did you? Because you're a crypto guy, and now you're obviously more maxi, and now you're advising and mining and doing everything else about it. So what point did you understand it?
2020.
2020, okay.
Yeah.
Pandemic?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Well, yeah. American HODL just giving it some.
Yeah, not much of American HODL, but there was Dread. Have you met Dread?
Yeah,
here?
of course.
Yeah. I just saw them yesterday and I was like, I hugged the guy.
Really?
I mean, that converted me big time.
Yeah. He's a really good orator as well. I can imagine the way he did it. I wasn't part of the Clubhouse stuff in
2020. All the advocate that you see today that started on Clubhouse, just like every Bitcoiner who gets his light bulb lighting with Bitcoin, understanding Bitcoin, you have this adrenaline pumping you, and that translates sometimes into aggressive toxicity.
Yeah.
So they weren't all the well-spoken orator today. Let's say we're a bit more aggressive back in the day, but I liked it. Yeah. I personally liked it. Okay. Because it was in your face education.
Really?
But I loved it, man. I loved it.
Really? But this was when Bitcoin was also during a bear market. It was only
it was in a bear
last quarter of 2020 that the price actually started to go up quite a bit.
Correct.
Because that was when I was selling my shitcoins for Bitcoin. Because prior to that moment, I just thought it was a stock. It was just, something you trade and speculate on. And then it was the Andreas Antonopoulos Internet of Money book, the part 1 and part 2, that I was like, wow, this could really be like a 0 to 1 moment. And yeah, that sort of got me to, but I didn't know that there was this whole, I remember meeting Bitcoiners for the first time and being like, it's like meeting a unicorn, it was just bizarre that there are other people that have this sort of very specific conviction about the world and are very keen on delivering on that conviction and making, their worldview sort of not align with that, but that sort of frames your worldview, right? Because once you have this understanding of, oh shit, okay, inflation isn't necessarily the best thing for humanity, and decentralization is really important to this network, and sound money and 21 million hard cap, all these things that we know and we take for granted, they then sort of influence your other ideas, right? So I remember meeting Bitcoiners for the first time. It was quite strange, but it's because probably I didn't get the Clubhouse stuff. I didn't know that. I only joined Twitter because of Bitcoin. Like prior to that, I was on Reddit, and Reddit Bitcoin community sucks.
Yeah,
It's really bad.
Anyway. So I moved to Europe.
Yeah.
In 2014.
Okay.
So when I moved there, I started like doing some trading, etc. on the side, TradFi stuff.
Yeah.
So 2017, I started shitcoining without understanding anything, just treating it as a stock. But I converted. So I was using my Lebanese bank account. Oh, by the way, Lebanese banks were warned by this gentleman Ponzi schemer in 2013 that warning every commercial bank not to allow crypto transactions for their clients.
Okay.
Despite that, my European bank accounts were like not for investments related like trading. So I used all my whatever I had in Lebanon to trade. And then I was like, okay, so I didn't understand Bitcoin, but the time preference kind of understanding affected me why I shifted to Bitcoin. So I converted everything I had to Bitcoin without even understanding what Bitcoin is. Just I understood like everything was following Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. And when Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. So when the crash happened in Lebanon, I had $0 in my bank account. So that for me was a push to understand Bitcoin better. So what the guys and ladies were saying on Clubhouse, it translated automatically to the story, to my story, to Lebanon's story.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that drove me. That was a motivational accelerator of like the thirst for more knowledge about Bitcoin, etc.
It kind of goes back to what you were saying about how you needed to experience that pain, and they were talking about it like some of these conversations that people have publicly, they are kind of almost prophecies. Like the central banks will hyperinflate your currencies, your money will be seized by banks, you will be cut off from banking systems, and then a few months later you experience it, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of lucky that you got your money out before that moment. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to bring up that you have mentioned that Bitcoin is halal money, particularly when speaking to obviously more Muslim or Islamic people. Could you expand on the role and the importance of that, particularly when it comes to speaking about the Middle East and Muslim African countries? How important is it that Bitcoin is halal money? Actually, no. Sorry. Explain why Bitcoin is halal money first.
Okay. I wrote an article about that. I can share that with you after the pod. Okay. Did some homework.
Question,
okay.
Mate.
Sorry. Okay.
I don't think everyone else has read it.
In short, for non-tech or non-religious people in Islam, for anything to be halal money, it needs to be without interest, right? Basically, it applies the same model that the gold money currency was. And this is one of the main criteria. So it's very hard to bring Bitcoin to the world. So you require a lot of energy, so hard work, and transparency. Transparency is a big one. And at the same time, they say that, okay, today the Arab world and the African Muslim countries are using the dollars. They're using the euros. Those are non-halal money as per the religious criteria. However, people don't have any other choice. So they if you're, let's say, they can't do anything else. I was thinking about like an appropriate example, but I'm not going to say it. So this is why it took some time. Just like they're using it because there is no alternative, right? Yeah. But now there is an alternative. There are some religious scholars who did some papers on the fact that Bitcoin is halal. However, up until today, it wasn't recognized by the Muslim countries that Bitcoin is halal. However, what they started doing now is instead of going, because they want Bitcoin, right? And they know that most of their population is owning Bitcoin more and more, they've been treating it as a property, not as money.
Okay.
So that's the halal money. They don't want to get into it. I hope they do, because if they do, things are going to go really wild. But I think for them to keep doing what they're doing and to keep using the asset as an asset and to invest in it, etc., they're treating it as a property.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, did you see the announcements about the Islamic coin? Do you remember that? It was maybe a year ago now.
There are a few now.
Okay, so this is when I was still like covering the Bitcoin and crypto space, and I remember their marketing being that it was halal money, and I was like, how? Like it's a debt money, you know? It's a.
If someone believes that there is an Islamic coin, is like believing ISIS are Muslims. It's the same similarity. So any halal money needs to have a fixed supply, needs to have a really low stock to flow model, needs to have transparency, decentralization. So, yeah.
So was Satoshi a Muslim?
I don't know. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, fair enough. When I ask the Africans if Satoshi was an African, they go, absolutely. And they usually
we
say,
are all Satoshis. I mean, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He definitely wasn't British. I mean, he was using the Times and, you know, Chancellor on the brink, but I don't think he was. Okay. What informal money systems exist in Lebanon? Are there similar things where you pull together finances and then distribute them?
The SACCOs, you mean?
Yes.
No. I mean, we only use a SACCO model. Can you just introduce what's the SACCO model? Because I'm not really...
Yeah, I mean, the ones I'm talking about, the ones that are in like East Africa, West Africa, where, well, I learned about this morning actually. So one of the types is where you pull together the money and then you say we're doing it together. Every second week you would get the money. The first week I would get the money. And if we went bigger, then it would be every third or fourth week. And then the other one is where you pull together the money and then you get some interest from it. But the second one is definitely not halal, I don't think, because, you know, that would, you know, interest and debt and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the first one could be a halal way of putting together money.
Well, I'm not a scholar, okay, but
no. Okay.
But in Lebanon, the only kind of joint account piggy bank that is known to be culturally accepted is like when someone is getting married, maybe his friends, the whole family, etc. They can get like a wedding list kind of setups, but not like a SACCO kind of setups in Lebanon. In Lebanon, the only informal way of doing business is like, I mean, Lebanese are traders, always been. So yeah, they're
some of the best. Yeah,
it's like quite open. So they use the same models as in the West. So.
Okay. And when it comes to Bitcoin education, particularly within the Lebanese community, I guess, what are the most common misconceptions or fears maybe that you come across when discussing Bitcoin with them?
Price.
Okay.
And volatility.
Okay. Oh, so like probably the most common ones universally, right? Is there something specific to Lebanon, or is there like a cultural trait or something that you've observed, particularly now that you live in Europe, like that you look back at Lebanon and you think, okay, that's interesting, because in Europe they think this way and in Lebanon they think a different way, or is it?
Thing is, the Europeans look at the Lebanese like, how on earth they don't get Bitcoin because they're living in Lebanon, right?
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
No, I get it. And the Lebanese, I've had those conversations with Lebanese I orange pilled.
Yeah.
Okay. But for them, it's like, it's hard to look up, like they barely have their nose above the water to like, just like to see how they're going to do to plan their lives, or like they're planning to leave the country, they have kids. You're talking about Satoshis. Yeah. They can. This is what I keep telling them. Like, instead of like, okay, you're going out every weekend, for example, you can just like save a bit money. For them, it's not gonna make a difference. They don't get it yet. But yeah, I think more pain would do, unfortunately.
More pain. I mean, I didn't really understand Bitcoin and self-custody until I rug pulled myself. So, you know, because I created a passphrase for a wallet and then forgot the passphrase. And it's only then now that I realized, oh my God, this is incredibly important. But I think, to your point about, Europeans thinking, oh, why don't Lebanese get Bitcoin? Like, come on, it seems to fix so many things within their economy. And I guess it's also because I haven't been to Lebanon, and so I need to come to Lebanon, basically.
You have to, man. And you won't go without me.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah.
You know Ellie? I met Ellie in Prague, or
Yeah, I do.
Eli.
Yeah, I
or
know.
I'm
I know
probably saying
Ellie.
his-
I know Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Yeah, he featured in Peter McCormack's documentary about Lebanon, which was really, really well done. Okay. I think we've talked Lebanon to death. I was going to change topics to Africa, unless you want to talk about Lebanon some more. Is there anything else you want to share about Bitcoin in Lebanon?
Comment about the Europeans talking about
Yes.
Lebanese. Those are smart, open-minded Bitcoiners talking like that. But I recommend everyone thinking like that to look at the European no coiners that keep snoozing to Lagarde and not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're in the frying pan. I'm calling myself a mainland European now, no longer British. We're in the saucepan of water, and the water is slowly being turned up. But we're just thinking it's jacuzzi, we're just chilling there, like the frogs in the saucepan. Whereas I feel like in Lebanon, it's the fire is raging and the water's been bubbling over.
when your DNA is so resilient because you are born in a country with no education system, no social security, no hospitalization, no electricity, no water. The government doesn't provide you anything since day one, since hour one. Okay. So the population is used to all these crises, generation after generation after generation. So this is why they can handle it more. Whereas the Europeans, they haven't felt anything yet.
That's foreboding, isn't it?
Yeah. And the ugly part is like for Lebanon, it's more than like it's economic, but like it's so complex in a very tiny territory that it's really hard to see. I mean, plus for me, I've said before on a podcast, just like I think Bitcoin for the Middle East, maybe the Middle East would be the last region on the planet Earth where Bitcoin is going to be like a legal tender or something, just because it won't help. I'm sure that everyone's using it. All the parties fighting are using it, like from Israel to Lebanon's Lebanese resistance to everyone, because it's an on-ramp to go to do their good things or bad things. But like it's for no one's benefit to use it, unfortunately, from a political side.
What do you mean by that?
So that's going to be like, so Bitcoin is so not political, right?
Yeah,
but
it's apolitical.
Apolitical, but it's extremely political.
Yeah, it's catch-22, isn't it? Yeah.
So, like, you have the sanctions on all the sanctions countries, right? Most of them are using Bitcoin. That's one. And then you have the US-funded countries and political parties using Bitcoin to fund the other political parties as well.
Yeah.
On the radar and off the radar. So if they're gonna, and they're trying to, I mean, if Bitcoin becomes a legal tender, the sanctions won't have any, like today it has only an emotional impact. Anyway, we've all seen how useful the sanctions are. But if the Federal Reserve doesn't have any power, or like the sanctions losing their impact.
Yeah.
Using Bitcoin would allow people to do whatever they want. They can just using Bitcoin will allow you, like understanding Bitcoin would be allowing your enemy to have your same weapon, right? In the Middle East, Israel won't allow any of its neighbor countries, for example, to have the same air defense missiles that it has.
Okay.
So everyone talks about Lebanon and Syria and the conflict zones, but no one talks about like, okay, what if the Lebanese army had air defense missiles to protect its sovereign air, for example?
Okay.
We keep talking about what's happening in Lebanon, like the parties, the politics, the religions, etc. But let's put everything aside. Let's talk about sovereignty, right?
Yeah.
If the Lebanese army today had the same weapons that Israel had, that would be a deterrent, right?
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is the same. Bitcoin versus the USD today. If everyone has Bitcoin, no one will be fighting together. But if like Lebanon is stable, there will be a lot of other countries in the region not thriving as much because Lebanon is known to be, I don't need to say this, everyone can Google and see how Lebanon is the most open-minded country in the Middle East. So, yeah.
Okay. Are you one of those that believes that if we were to adopt a full Bitcoin standard, there'd be no war, or certainly extremely lower levels of war, globally speaking?
No, war will exist. It's just like sustaining long-term wars.
It's harder. Yeah.
Wouldn't be feasible. Today, I'm working on an article, but like if you compare the companies that are weapons manufacturers compared to the diamond companies. So diamond companies don't have, like, they have very minimal banking facilities with the banks for obvious reasons, right? But the weapons manufacturers have the best bank facilities you can find. Imagine. So not only the countries are funding wars through just like printing money from thin air, but the companies who are producing those weapons are producing weapons on debt.
Make it make sense.
So anyway.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a lightning round. Completely changed gears, changed topic.
Do it.
First thing that comes into your head, okay? It's super quick. So, can pineapple go on pizza? Can pineapple go on pizza? Can you put pineapple on a pizza?
No.
Okay, great. Bits, sats, or bitcoins?
Sats.
Okay. Where will the Bitcoin price top out at this bull run? This bull run.
This bull run.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care.
I don't care.
I have a friend of mine who WhatsApped me to tell me like, yeah, congratulations on the all-time high. I had no clue what was the price.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about this.
Yeah.
I was like, I think we need to celebrate it.
Yeah.
I did eventually celebrate
Let's do it tonight.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
No, but like if there is no thing is, it's only the geopolitical aspect that might affect it. Frankly, personally, I think.
What do you mean by that? The geopolitical aspect of what? Of Bitcoin?
No, so geopolitics affecting the markets. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
there's no drastic event,
World War III.
World War III, not even like when Iran hit Israel or Israel hit Iran, there was like $16,500 drop in like 6 minutes. Okay, that was for only 6 minutes during the missile launch, and then
people realized,
but now, like, if you look from things might go ballistic. Hopefully, ballistic from a price perspective. Oh my God! Man. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, exactly.
I'll wait for the next missile launch. Pump my bags, my missiles.
Bitcoin. Yeah. So it will go really, really up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't care. Cool, got it. What would you ask Satoshi Nakamoto if you could ask him a question, or them, or she?
Ask?
Yeah, or say?
I know. I would hug the man.
You'd hug him?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Sabina from Tando said the same thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she just wouldn't say anything and just give him a big hug.
Yeah, man. It's like there isn't enough words that can be said.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
And I hope that no one would ever meet them.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. It'd be like a pylon of hugs. What is your favorite Bitcoin meme, if you've got one?
You mentioned one before the recording, but that's not it.
Which one was that one?
Hot dogs.
The hot dog meme. That's a good meme.
It's a good meme. I think the best is like, the desks lined up, people lining up on the highest price, where like you have two desks selling like a guichet dessiné quelque chose. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, like there's like loads of people queuing up at 100K. No one was queuing up at 20K, for example.
The same happened when it was like 3 versus
10,
12.
Yeah.
And that's
I was the guy that came in at 10, big, like at 3, I was like, oh God, terrifying.
But yeah, 2020 March, it dropped to 3,500. No one bought.
Yeah,
few bought.
I didn't actually realize it was happening. But I was
2020, man.
Yeah, and I was too busy losing my job. I was like stressed out about other stuff to be like, the Bitcoin price is going. Yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of that thing that what you're addressing, right? There are sometimes more immediate needs than Bitcoin.
100%.
And we forget that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's one thing that Bitcoiners need to do better as a community?
Empathy.
Cool. And if you weren't working on Bitcoin right now, what would you be doing?
I can't imagine my life without Bitcoin, man. Yeah, I used to be working in the humanitarian sector in my previous life. Emergency management, I used to love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emergency management. It's basically Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm just wondering if you should tilt the microphone a tiny bit more towards your... Yeah, there you go. Cool.
Yeah.
So Lebanon, lightning round. Congratulations. You finished the lightning round. Félicitations.
Merci.
Let's switch to Africa. And specifically, I mean, just to open it up, what do you make of the Afro Bitcoin conference series so far? I mean, we've been at the one in Ghana together. Like, how do you see this thing evolving and developing and progressing?
Well, already comparing the African conferences to the Western ones, in the West and MENA, I mean, Middle East, it's number go up conferences.
Yeah.
Here, it's everything except number go up. Like, it's high signal. You meet people developing. You see really use cases for Bitcoin. The attendance to this year was much better than last year. The organization was very good. The team is amazing. And yeah, they mentioned there are some few startups that started. I mean, Jason, I mean, you Tando's like, wasn't Tando last year?
I didn't even know that, man, until today. I interviewed them this morning.
And I knew Jason as Jason.
Okay.
From Ghana. And then I see him wearing the polo this year. I was like, oh, you're Tando? I was like, yeah, like this is in 1 year.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are others who started, like there was the first cohort of Bitcoin devs.
Oh, devs.
Yeah, with Btrust.
Yeah, yeah.
And those guys have built so many applications since last year. Like in action. And you can see the analytics. It's like insane.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
it's cool, isn't it? It's going places, and I think that's what makes it so much more exciting. Is that I've done a lot of conferences a few years in a row now, and I'm a bit like, I'm not bored. That's not the right word, but I know what to expect. And with the Afro Bitcoin conference, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, man. It's a lot of fun to see it. What about from a business standpoint for you? Is it not profitable, but does it make sense for you to come here each year, given like the value that it provides you?
For me, it's like. In African Bitcoin conferences, you come not like people learn and give like they exchange the information. So from a business perspective, maybe not as much, but from a learning perspective, it's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And it's meeting the people. That's what counts. And like when from a mining perspective, the guys have been amazing. Like I came here last year, I was just learning things to do things hands-on because I was doing consulting and like I've done mining implementation, but not myself, like for clients. But like they offer you the knowledge, man. I don't know how to say it, like à
volonté,
like as much as you
readily,
want. Yeah, exactly. Always there. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a really special environment. I mean, I got to see the Gridless site for free as well, which I thought was just amazing. And they were just like, yeah, come check out our mining site. And then it's really hard to do that in other parts of the world. And here they're just like, yeah, well, why not? You know, share the knowledge, share the information about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything you think that the African Bitcoin sort of development or industry rather could do better, particularly given you have the insight of you've done business in Southwest Africa, you've seen Bitcoin in West Africa, and now we're in East Africa?
Frankly speaking, I don't see, it just needs time. I think it's doing very good.
Yeah.
They just need to keep at it. They need to maybe have some better risk management to make sure, because you see always the same sponsors, which is great. And we're all appreciative of all the sponsors out there. But yeah, we need to push for more sponsorships and onboarding new businesses that are not Bitcoin companies that would sponsor these events. And today, only the Bitcoin companies are sponsoring those events.
This seems like such an obvious thing for conferences to do. Like, why is the conference in Kenya not sponsored by a local car hire company or the safari park or somewhere where they know that people, because a lot of, I'm not being funny, but a lot of Bitcoiners fly to these places and they've not done a second of research. They're just like, I'm going to find out what Kenya's like when I arrive.
Exactly.
And I love that. It's very cavalier, but it's a sponsor could easily just attract those people and make money from it. Why are they not doing it? I don't know. There's not going to be a Bitcoin conference in Lebanon anytime soon, is there?
We're waiting for the war to finish. So let's see. We're supposed to have one this year in 2025. We're working on one.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, that'll be my excuse to come.
You won't need an excuse to come to Lebanon, but yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what I mean? Like a conference. It's always nice when you tie it into a conference.
Of course, yeah.
Because for me as well, from a research perspective, if I go to a country blind, which I did for Peru, for example, it was so much harder to understand what's actually going on with the Bitcoin scene. Whereas with the conferences, it's a massive shortcut to be like, okay, I can speak to 30 people from Kenya over the past 3 days. And I've probably spoken to a bit more than that. And then I'm like, okay, now I can understand what's going on in Kenya. Do a couple of podcasts and I'm like, boom, I'm well researched. Okay, and so what about the regulatory sort of attitudes between East and West Africa? Do you find that doing the work where you do the work, it's fairly straightforward? Are you encountering hurdles or challenges there?
I mean, frankly, again, the liability is on the clients. But like from what I know, what I've seen, East Africa shows more support for any startups in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more friendly for new investments in the space.
Okay.
I was talking to a lawyer yesterday, one from their friends, one from Kenya, one from Nigeria. Yeah. And yeah, there's so much happening. Apparently there's the Kenyan government is working on a regulation to apparently, he didn't say if it's with or against Bitcoin, but they're working on a regulation because they see a lot of need to do it. But I think with the bull market, I think it's going to be positive, hopefully.
Yeah, it's just what happens in the bear market, you know, because there's obviously a bear market coming, right? 2026, I guess, will be challenging. And you just want to prepare people for that eventuality, right?
Not really.
No?
Let them go through it.
Yeah. Bring on the pain. Bring on the pain. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to talk about Bitcoin itself? You know, high transaction fees, that kind of stuff. I know you've been quite outspoken about ordinals.
You've done some research, I see.
I'm a journalist, Sooly. I'm supposed to do research.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, we've talked to the Lebanon stuff and the Africa stuff, and I've got you here and we're having a beer, so I thought, why not? Yeah. So, ordinals, they've pretty much faded out right now, but then we do still randomly see occasional spikes in the transaction fees. Yesterday was one of them, as I actually went to pay this studio, which, by the way, I'm paying in Bitcoin. Check me out. This is which is one of the reasons why I like to do like hire local talent, is because then you can
orange pill them. Yeah, just make sure they read their seed phrases. Like the bartender the other day, I told you, he lost his wallet and he had to restore it, and he had lost all the tippings. But anyway,
on his Blink wallet,
on Aqua.
Aqua wallet. Oh, you did it non-custodially. I've never onboarded someone with Aqua.
I have like 6 now in Mario.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You're the one orange using Blink. So now Blink, the concierge at the parking is like using Blink. He was like, I have Blink today. So
you're kidding? I swear. And dude, I've seen quite a few people.
I was like, who did use Blink? I mean, I have Blink, of course, but like for
total newbies that have never heard of Bitcoin before, I always go to Blink because of exactly what you describe. People don't know what rug pulling.
Let them learn the hard way. Now the guy wrote a paper with the 12 words, and the lifeguard came saying, but this is bullshit. I was like, okay, why? He was like, I know this. I was like, okay, do you own anything? He was like, yeah, I know crypto. I was like, okay, what do you use? Why don't you like it? He was like, but the government knows what you're doing. I was like, are you using Binance? He was like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was like, download this non-custodial wallet called Aqua, okay? And yeah, no one would know.
This podcast is brought to you by Aqua Wallet. I wish. No, they're a great solution. But I mean, with the Blink, you've also got the learn section. So I always say, do the learn, earn section. With every class, you get a sat. And then I feel like I've outsourced the education. I've done the breaking down the barrier of, okay, they know that Bitcoin is not a scam anymore. They know that it's worth something. And here they have got an easy way to send, receive it, and, you know, spend it if they want to. So then it's just on them to educate themselves. I don't think that I've never found someone who's then genuinely putting, you know, thousands of dollars on a Blink wallet. But I mean, I really hope they haven't, because otherwise I'll lose sleep over it, and that'll be
frankly, I use the Wolf Satoshi, Blink, and Aqua.
Yeah, but Wall of Satoshi is too dumb for its own good. Like, it's brilliant, but it's not. The trade-offs there is that, you know, you have a.
I was with Steph in Europe. Stefan, you've met Stefan.
Yeah, there was a tall blonde guy.
Yeah.
Classic Belgian guy.
There was a street dancer.
Yeah.
We were having a beer, and he was with his basket, like coming to just for some coins, etc.
Yeah.
We made the bet, me and Stefan, if I can orange pill him. So I orange pill him. But like for me, that guy needed wallet of Satoshi. He couldn't go even with a Blink or Aqua. So
Because his phone was so crap, right?
yeah, but there's like,
Or is his level of English or?
I think artists,
Yeah.
it depends who you're orange pilling. An artist would like the green background flashing at night. Like wallet of Satoshi up until today, I wouldn't recommend it as a wallet, but from a UX, like it does something when you receive the payment or when you make the payment.
Yeah, it's the best UX. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And on the wallet,
Even though Aqua is very close now with when you make the transaction, it's not green, it's blue, but it's almost the same.
oh right, and it's the whole phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't been using, and from
I
an
have been
education
using it.
perspective,
Yesterday I did it on chain though because they were accepting Coinbase, but it didn't do the big tick. It just did it was like a tick, but you know that it's transaction processing, not actually sent. Yeah, because the layer 2 thing on Aqua, it's really, really good. No, actually, I haven't had a payment fail. I can't challenge it that much. No, and I've also received payments on USDT there sometimes because people have
here you go.
tried to pay me in USDT, and I was like, I don't know how to even accept that. I used to in my shitcoin days, but you move away from it, right? But yeah, it was the thing about wallet of Satoshi. So I used to not bother stressing how important it is to then have your email address associated with that mobile phone, because in the wallet of Satoshi on the bottom right it says like login or register, and I was like never bothered. And then Paco grabbed me in Cuba and was like, you need to get them to do their email address, and I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. But I started doing it, and on the second day we were there, we tipped a waiter, and we tipped her like $12 between like the three of us that were together, which is a considerable amount of money in Cuba, like in a not very rich area. And then 4 days later, we went back to the same bar, and she was clearly quite like despondent and a bit down. And we're like, okay. She was like, oh, no, I got mugged the other day, and they took my phone. And I was like, oh, and Paco was like, oh, your Bitcoin will still be on there. She was like, no, it won't. Like, they took my phone. It's like, no, you just log in again with your email address. And she had actually done it. She'd done the recovery. And so the Bitcoin appeared. Plus, the Bitcoin price had gone up by like 10% or something. So it was like more money than she expected. So she was like, wow, this is crazy. But for those people as well, like someone that's only ever going to have, say, I don't know, save $50 in an entire year, that would be like a really good year to save money. Are they ever going to take self-custody from a wallet of Satoshi to a hardware wallet? I mean, $50 on chain doesn't make sense, right?
If they ever lose their phone wallet, like the bartender in Mario, they might consider at least writing their seed phrases.
I guess that's why Aqua wallet makes sense, right? Because you're on a layer 2 that is cheap to be on.
Yeah, and then it reminds you after a threshold to save your seed phrase.
Does it? Okay, but the money is still on the layer 2, right? It's not on the on-chain Aqua wallet. It's on the liquid side of things.
Depends what you have.
But you're tipping them in layer 2, right? You're tipping them in Lightning
the
Lightning equivalent. Okay, and so if you lose that seed phrase, have you ever imported that seed phrase into other wallets? What does it appear as? Does it appear as on-chain Bitcoin in those wallets?
If you have Bitcoin, it would be Bitcoin, because I
just
think
on-chain.
Just on-chain.
So it's sort of like this.
Actually, it's interesting. I'll try that tonight.
Because that's the thing that I worry about. Like, what if? I know, like, I'm assuming that Adam Back and Samson Moe are good actors. So, I don't expect Aqua to rug pull anytime soon. However, we should expect that it will rug pull, given that that's just the way, the adversarial way of thinking, right? So surely we should be able to import the Aqua seed wallet into other things. I haven't tried this personally, so that's why I'm a bit...
verify.
Yeah, I'm a bit embarrassed I haven't actually, so I should try that. But this is all a way of saying that we need to avoid on-chain fees with ordinals, and
but not much, man. I posted on Nostr because I got suspended on X 2 months ago.
Yeah, I was wondering, is this conversation going to be banned from YouTube because we've been talking about Lebanon and Israel, or are we going to be okay?
I don't care.
Cheers, mate. Yeah.
So apparently, the U.S. government moved $2 billion in Bitcoin from its cold wallet to Coinbase a few weeks back.
It does this regularly because it's
for
$2.6. That was the fee.
$2.6 for $2 billion.
Wow.
So don't. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. No, but the issue is for people that have $100 and are still paying.
Okay, then Lightning would work, and then you have those on-ramps people are working on in Africa.
Yeah.
As workarounds.
Yeah, I don't see I mean, I made one on-chain payment here that was obviously for this, but it was a bit more. Whereas, yeah, you would never pay an on-chain payment anymore for a coffee or for a lunch or whatever. That's just a thing of the past.
I bought some merch.
On-chain?
Yeah, because the Lightning wasn't working properly for some reason.
Oh, really? Weird. What was that, the Wallet of Satoshi payment receivers?
It was a liquidity issue at the channel level.
Okay.
It had reached a threshold. So the merchant was doing so well, but he needed to pull some liquidity out for the payment. So basically, yes, it does work. Of course, it works. It's very good, but like on-chain never fails.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you just pay the toll, right?
And if you're buying from a Bitcoin company, you might as well just like donate $10
to the miners.
Yeah,
it's your charitable contribution of the month. You can write it off as a tax thing. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything I haven't asked you about so far that you wanted to talk about, or there was something in particular you wanted to get across?
I don't know.
It's not a trick question.
No.
It's not a lightning round thing either.
No, all good.
Okay. In which case, can you give me some predictions for the next wave of Bitcoin adoption in hyperinflationary economies such as a Lebanon or an Argentina?
Prediction to Bitcoin price prediction or what?
No. So what are your predictions for the next wave of Bitcoin adoption in hyperinflationary economies? Because it just feels like, I mean, it's going back to that point you were explaining earlier. You know, Europeans or Westerners looking at places like Lebanon and Argentina and where's the place down south? Zimbabwe. You're like, why are they not grokking Bitcoin? You know, surely they must be grokking Bitcoin. So, you know, what's it going to take? What's the pain, I guess I should ask you, what's the next pain to inspire these people these economies to adopt Bitcoin more seriously?
This economy or the globe? Like when the digital euro would go live, that would accelerate things.
Okay. That's obviously Europe specifically, yeah. From
January 1st, the EU is going to upgrade to Swift powered by AI.
Really? I don't know about this.
Yeah, I heard about it on the radio last month.
Okay.
Yeah, so apparently it's the same as today, but today you have a human checking from time to time the alerts and if it makes sense, the trend analysis of your bank account, etc. But now it's AI monitored, etc. So things will be accelerated. But for Lebanon, Venezuela, and developing world that would be struggling, more pain. I think it's like you mentioned, like real life events will continue to take over. Yeah, I don't think people waking up. I mean, we need, to be fair, we need more educators, non-English speakers.
Yeah, that's true.
To really broadcast more and less censorship. So for everyone listening to go on Nostr. Because you have in those countries all sorts of Bitcoiners who are. I know in the Arab world a lot of the plebs don't showing their faces, refusing speaking slots at conferences because they're afraid of being on stage. So that also doesn't help. So
yeah, and I guess they have to dox themselves to go on stage at a lot of these places now, right? There's only a few conferences where you can go on stage and not dox yourself at all, right?
I mean, frankly, Dubai, I didn't dox myself last year. But I didn't dox myself last year, but this year in Abu Dhabi.
How did you get to the Dubai conference without doxing yourself?
They didn't ask for my passport to get on stage.
I thought you had to share your personal details to go to these conferences in the Middle East.
I mean, Dubai didn't ask last year.
Okay.
Abu Dhabi did this year. That's why I cancelled.
Oh, so that's why you didn't go, yeah. So that's why you're here instead.
And I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here as well, mate. Yeah, it's really good you're here. Okay, so given that we started off this podcast with this sort of yearly thing, what's going to happen next year? If we were to sit down in, rumor has it this conference is going to be in Mauritius, by the way. Did you hear that? I think it's bullshit as well.
Nigeria,
yeah.
I hope.
Nigeria?
I think so. I don't know.
That would be mad.
That's what I've been.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of would prefer Mauritius over Nigeria because Nigeria will be mental. And Mauritius might be a bit more relaxing. But yeah, so where are we going to be in 1 year's time with regards to Bitcoin adoption in Africa and with regards to Bitcoin adoption in Lebanon?
Africa, man, like those last 2 days, I've heard so many startups just needing funding and they have their pilot projects, like brilliant ideas, man. Adoption is gonna increase. Point of sale adoption, like accepting Bitcoin on ramp, off ramp, using the different like the Tandos and whatnots, are gonna help a lot. So Africa is gonna definitely be growing in Bitcoin adoption. Lebanon or the Arab world, I don't see it happening much, unfortunately. Yeah,
Why is that?
because we're in war, at war.
Need a different kind of pain. Okay, and prediction for me, because I want to finish on a higher note.
For you,
By the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, everyone.
You'll have your team by then, hopefully. You did what you said you're gonna do.
Yeah, without
Since
realizing I
last
said I
time.
was going to do it, which is great. I really surprised myself there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on the right track.
Cool.
Well done, man.
See you at 250K.
You're so bearish.
That was Sooly. Thank you so much, Sooly.
Thank you,
Merci
man.
beaucoup.
Plaisir.
That was the man Sooly in Nairobi, Kenya. To follow him and his work, you may have to join Noster. There you can find him at the @Sooly tag. I would briefly like to thank Plan B Network, a wonderful resource to learn about Bitcoin. Remember, Plan B Network is completely free and it's very easy to use. So check out planb.network for any burning Bitcoin question you may have. I would also like to thank Coin Corner. Coin Corner is a British Bitcoin exchange and they've been going for more than 10 years now, so you know they're good. Please check out www.coincorner.com. I have been Joe Nakamoto. Thank you so much for listening. And if you hit subscribe, I will bring you some more Bitcoin content very soon. Do what you love and save in Bitcoin.